Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Rest, and in this video we're going to be talking about everything that we know about Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Now that E3 is slowing down and we have pretty much every single information that we're going to have about this game so far, I kind of want to compile it all together, so if anybody wants to learn or just a refresher on what they need to know, this is the video for them. Now also, we're going to be doing this video a little different. You're not going to see any trailer gameplay in the background. We're going to straight up be doing this in PowerPoint right here. We're going back to school. I'm going to be doing a PowerPoint presentation somewhat, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. It's a little different, but it really gets the information out, nice and neat, and you'll understand what we're talking about. And I'm going to be talking about obviously everything we know, but I'm also going to be giving my opinions on everything and kind of explaining what could possibly come out of these. So if you do enjoy, consider subscribing and dropping a like. It really helps me out and it helps our community grow, so I truly appreciate it. So starting off, obviously, if you don't know, the name of the game is Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. It's a play on Borderlands, obviously, but it is all around Tiny Tina and bunkers and badasses. Now, we actually have gotten screenshots more than what we originally had. So as you see here, this is a goblin hut. They've already confirmed the goblins in the game, which we'll talk about when we get to enemies. But this is in a nice mountain area. It's pretty snowy, and it's clearly leading to some goblin captain king or something that we're gonna have to fight. It's really cool. The game looks amazing. The next picture is we're fighting skeletons. There's a shield and sword skeleton right here, on top of a mage-like skeleton over here with its little staff, and there's some pretty cool throne looking thing in the background that looks like maybe something a boss could come out of, or something, like if it's sitting down like a king of the skeletons or something like that. Then there's some pillars and everything, and grass growing up, and we have some vines growing up on the pillars. But then next up we have a wyvern, which looks to be in a very cool area. It's a bunch of different heights in this area. As you see, there's some bridges up here, and there's some down here, so you might can actually get on one of these things and ride up there. But we do know that these are enemies, and they look pretty cool. Obviously, they can fly around, so this will be a very interesting enemy, kind of like racks, I guess, in Borderlands, but they're wyverns. There's also some lava down here, so be sure to not fall in that if you're running around this area. But then next up we have a picture of a castle. Again, multiple different heights. There's some bridges over here. I would imagine you're probably going to be able to walk on them. This is a very pretty looking area. Just imagine you're going to be down here running around. You're going to have enemies coming out these doors over here, maybe. Obviously your path's going to be up here. You'll get to explore this huge castle, and there's going to be some dangerous threats in there. There's a little hut right here as well, and right here that stuff would come out of. Maybe something sleeping in there. But yeah, that could be like the sky-like enemy of this game. But as you see, this game is absolutely beautiful. It looks heavily like Borderlands, because it kind of is Borderlands in a way. But now the last picture, which you probably have all seen, which is the Dragon Lord. This is the main enemy of the game. He looks dope. As you see, he has dragon wings, obviously. He has a sword that's on fire, and he has this little spell that looks something maybe like freezing or something. The background also looks really cool. And also, since you're able to wield swords and spells in this game, I'm wondering if you're actually going to be able to pick up his weapons once you kill him, or farm for him at least. That would be really cool. But now getting into actual information about Wonderlands. This is the fun part. So we have, what is Wonderlands? It is a brand new game by Gearbox. Yes, it's a new game, and it is not DLC. I've heard so many people ask me, and just other people talking, is this a DLC from Borderlands? It is not. This is a standalone game that is based around Bunkers and Badasses, which was a Borderlands 2 DLC. But just know that this game is based on a DLC, but it is a full game. It is not a DLC. As I already said, it takes place, and I put "and" for some reason, takes place in Bunkers and Badasses, and you also don't need to play that to actually understand the story of this game. It takes place after it, but like I said, you don't have to actually play the game to understand what's going on. If you know anything about D&D, you will absolutely adore this. There's so many D&D references in this game, and in fact, in this video I'm gonna have a picture of a D&D creature. And I also hope you do enjoy all the little subtle game hints I have when you'll see what I'm talking about coming up next. But fantasy looter shooter, this is confirmed a looter shooter fantasy, obviously, because it's in a fantasy world. So it is going to be a looter shooter similar to Borderlands. There are going to be rarities and stuff. You can play it up to 4 players. It's going to have a story and in-game on launch. In-game, I hope, is really good. Obviously, the story can be amazing. I'm sure the story is going to be really good based on the theme of the game. But having an in-game to keep your playing and build your character up, it's going to be really fun. It releases early 2022, and we'll find more info about it later this summer. Now, getting into the next slide, this is where things can get a little funny. We have weapons. Rarities are a thing, as I already said. We have the fantasy looter shooter. Rarities are going to be a thing. You got a little sneak peek of enemies right there. But we have bows, melee weapons, spells, and guns. So obviously for melee weapons, I have a Lament right here from Destiny. Bows, I have Varus from League of Legends. Spells, obviously spells to Skyrim. And then, you know, I thought I'd throw in the new Battlefield picture in there. You know, we got weapons showing off. Obviously, the weapons aren't going to be exactly like this. The closest thing will be spells, probably, obviously, to be somewhat similar in the game. Maybe even the bow with Varus. But this is the weapons we're going to have, and it could be crossbows as well. I just threw bows on here just for a general, you know, idea. So these are the weapons you're going to be looking out for. I'm assuming they're all going to have their own rarities. I'm sure there'll be legendary versions of them, which would be really cool. And also, the spells are taking over grenades. They're not going to be grenades in the game. They're kind of using these spells as grenades, but they also have said that spells are more like skills than grenades. It's not like in Borderlands where you just chunk a grenade. It's kind of like a little side thing. Spells are going to have way more of a role in this game, but they are treated as the new grenades, essentially, if you get what I'm saying. Melee weapons is obviously cool. Like I said, if we could pick up the Dragon Lord sword, that'd be really awesome. And then classic Borderlands guns. I'm sure they're not going to be actual like manufacturers in Borderlands. They might be, who knows, but you know, they're going to probably be more themed to the fantasy world instead of you know, a weapon that can shoot out 2 giant electricity balls that chase down an enemy and zap them to death. But who knows? We could see a bunch of things. It's Borderlands. Obviously, they can just throw whatever they want to in the game, and it's fantasy, so they can kind of just make whatever, which is really, really cool. And I really like the idea that they're going with this. But now, get into enemies. Things confirmed are skeletons, goblins, sharks with legs, not even joking, wyverns, and more weird fantasy ideas. So, with that last thing, as you see this giant bear looking thing right here, this is a owl bear from D&D. This is the things that you might be able to see in the game. As I said, more weird fantasy ideas, so I just put that in there as an example. Obviously, I'm not saying that this is going to be in the game, but you could see things like this, just weird things. Now, sharks with legs, as you see, that was in the trailer. It's just literally a shark jumping out of the water. It has legs. And then the other pictures we've already seen, the goblin hut you can't see right now, but skeletons, and then the wyvern again. All of these are going to be enemies. I'm sure they're all going to have their own unique types. As you see, the skeletons, like we already talked about, there is a mage and a melee sword skeleton, a melee based one. So really, really cool. If I had to choose which enemies are probably going to be the hardest from this, it's definitely probably going to be the wyverns, due to the fact that they're just, you know, flying creatures, but they could have very little health. Who knows? But these are just some, I would imagine, basic enemies, other than the Dragon Lord being the main enemy, like of the game. These are just some basic enemies you'll fight from area to area. I don't think these are anything going to be like a boss that we see in these pictures, at least, except maybe if something comes like the owlbear, who knows. But then we have your character. You're no longer picking a specific character like in other Borderlands games. It's no more Mara, Zane, Mose, Flak. You are creating your own character. I'd imagine you're going to give it your own name. You create the way it looks, and it's going to be really, really cool. So as you see, create your own. We were just talking about that. And just to show that, I actually have a Fallout New Vegas character creation thing at the beginning of the game that you see in the top right. But then classes are a thing. So since this is a fantasy-based game, you're probably going to have things like listed below, like Black Mage, Paladin, Bard, Thief, White Mage, Ranger. Could be a slew more. Obviously, these could also not be in the game, but you're going to probably have things themed around that. And it's probably also going to give your character maybe additional skills. It definitely will probably give you additional stats or different additional just anything like items you can have in the game. Who knows? But then there are also going to be skills as well, so you can craft around that as well. So between those two, I would imagine the build crafting in this game plus just creating your character on its own is going to be really, really strong, and I cannot wait. All characters can use all weapons, so if you get a specific sword or something, you don't have to be a barbarian to use the sword. If you're a weak little mage but have a lot in spells, you can still use that sword, which is really cool. There's no you know, way to stop somebody from using something, and it'll be really, really easier to make builds since you can use a bunch of stuff. So you could have something like a battle mage that is, you know, part sword, part spell, which is really, really cool, instead of having to focus specifically on spells. I'm really, really excited talking about this. But then armor and amulets are also a thing. To represent that, I have a Hellfire amulet from Diablo 3, and then obviously for armor, I have the armor from Skyrim right there. And then for skills, I just put a skill tree for Amara. But the amulets and armor are going to be really cool, because this will be another addition to builds in the game. You normally don't have armor or things like amulets in the Borderlands games, so we're going to have armor now to, you know, for defensive capabilities, and I would assume for that, I'm sure there's probably some that also give you offensive stuff. And then amulets are probably going to give you a lot of things like increased spell damage, crit damage, probably stuff like that. That's how they normally work in most games. And yeah, that's really, really cool. This gets me really excited. So between all this, like the weapons and junk we're going to get, and all the way your character creation is going to be, and then fighting these sorts of enemies, I'm very, very excited. Like, it's really, really cool. I cannot wait to start crafting builds, and obviously I'm going to be posting them on the channel, so stick around if you guys would like to see that. And that's pretty much all we know for the game. Now, if you want to know a little bit more miscellaneous, the cast, we do have the cast listed as well. I know some people are into knowing the characters that are playing. So for Dragon Lord, we have Will Arnett. For Valentine, we have Andy Samberg. Fret, we have Wanda Sykes. Trailer character, which they didn't say the name, it's just mysterious character, is Gabe Kunda. And Tiny Tina is obviously Ashley Birch. And these are the pictures of the characters. Obviously, Dragon Lord is in the huge picture up here that you've already seen. You can't really see. The robot is Fret. I'm going to assume the other dude, because they did show it off like in the background when they were talking about it at E3, is Valentine. The mysterious character is obviously on the trailer bottom left. And then we all know who Tiny Tina is. So that is the cast of the game. But between the cast and these characters and everything we already know about creating our characters and enemies we're fighting, plus the gear, I am super, super excited for the game. But that is going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching. If I missed anything, be sure to let me know. And also let me know what you guys are excited for the most about Wonderlands. I know there's a lot of things, so I'm curious to hear what you all have to say. Obviously, I will keep you up to date, so be sure to stick around for additional information on top of like when the game comes out, like I was saying, builds and everything. And again, if you did enjoy or learn something new, consider subscribing and dropping a like. I would truly appreciate it. But with all that, thank you all so much for watching again, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.